For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth, keepers of faith, makers of peace, and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are one.
We can keep playing that forever. I love it. Okay, this is the first time I have done this way, so please be patient. On behalf of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Topeka, I welcome you to our Sunday morning service. My name is Janine Silsby. A special welcome to you if you are visiting for the first time. Please do not hesitate to ask someone for assistance if you have any questions. Come into this space, this circle of community. Come into this sacred space. Be not tentative. Bring your whole self. Bring the joy that makes your heart sing. Bring your kindness and your compassion. Bring also your sorrow, your pain. Bring your brokenness, your disappointments. Spirit of love and mystery, help us to recognize the spark of the divine that resides within each of us. May we know the joy of wholeness, and may we know the joy of being together. Welcome. We are attempting to allow our children enough time in their own classes after their time with us. In order to maximize that time, please hold any brief announcements you would like to make from the floor for our joys and concerns a little later in the service. And a friendly reminder, please turn off cell phones and other devices at this time so that you're not that person and others are not disturbed during the service. Our ushers can get a hearing device to you if you need one. Just flag one of them down. Hold your hand up and somebody will come get it for you. I have not been given any announcements at this point. If you have announcements, we ask that you write them down and hand them to me or an usher to be read later from the podium. And our chalice lighting this morning will be done by Farai Harold. And is Tunde here? Oh, there she is. And Tunde Green. Tony, would you like to help your daughter since this is I'm sorry, I didn't give you a heads up on this. Yeah. In our joys and sorrows, Tony's father died this week. So.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. This is entitled Prayer for Living Intention by Joseph M. Cherry. If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we must be bold enough to step into our discomfort, brave enough to be clumsy there, loving enough to forgive ourselves and others. May we, as a people of faith, be granted the strength to be so bold, so brave, and so loving.
And now we'll have the story for all ages by Vicki George. So if the children would come down.
Hi. And both.
They're into something really interesting.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm not interesting? Is that what you're... Oh, I love this. I see a mom over there going... Okay. I'm getting some. Yeah. And anybody's always welcome to bring a bigger person with them, too, if that bigger person is too shy. Okay. So the topic a lot today is going to be focusing around ancestors. Now, Eldon, do you know what an ancestor is? That was born before you. So in this case, might that be that person? Yeah. So ancestors are those that were born before us. It's a great description. Now, some of you are grandparents. Well, first of all, let's just start. How many of you have been parents? Okay. All righty. Now, here's another case. It's how many feel like you've even parented kids here at the fellowship? Yes, Chuck, get your hand up. You helped Miss Beth. Yes. Okay. How many grandparents do we have in the crew? We got some grandparents. Okay. No, I didn't see any of you kids raising up your hands. You're not grandparents? Okay. Well, this story, now, it could be also easily have been a grandmother and granddaughter, but this is a story I'm going to introduce. It's called Grandfather and Grandson. Now, this is a story that's been in a lot of cultures, a lot of different versions, all over the world. And then they'll be followed by another one called Plowing Up the Road. So, my story begins. Once upon a time, in a village far, far away, there was a husband and a wife, and they had taken in their older grandfather, the father of the son. And it was fine for a while, and he was able to do the gardening. He was a big help. And then he kept getting older and older. And I mean, he was probably even past 40. He was really old. And so then he started getting a little bit more feeble, a little bit more absent-minded, and then he started becoming a little bit more difficult to take care of. And so his daughter-in-law was starting to have to do everything. Because this was a village community where, it was very divided. The husband went out and did all the farming. The mother stayed home and did all the stuff inside. Some of you were raised in those farming communities and know what that's like. I'm still suffering from living with a man. I've been married to him for 51 years who still thinks that's the way it should be. He's still in a training process. So she was really having a lot of trouble taking care of her father-in-law, as he was getting more forgetful, more feeble, And then once, when he was drinking a cup of tea from the best china, he dropped it and it broke. And the very next day, he was eating his soup from the very best china, and he dropped it and it spilled all over her best tablecloth. Well, the daughter-in-law was just exhausted from taking care of him, and probably also had a bunch of kids about you guys' age too, so she was pretty tired. And she finally said, that's it. He can no longer eat at the table with us, and he can no longer eat from the good china. Here, you're going to have to take a piece of wood and carve him a wooden bowl. So that's what the father, the son of the grandfather, did. He was carving out a wooden bowl. And then he looked over and he saw one of his sons, about Arlo's age, who had also picked, this is back in those days when kids could have knives and you were that age. Okay, and he was starting to carve from a big piece of wood too. And the father said, what are you doing? And the son said to his father, I'm getting ready to have a wooden bowl for when you are no longer able to eat at the table.